Knife review, check. Watch during the knife review, also check. And it will be the Smale tactical watch. Previously reviewed, highly recommended. I don't think I showed you guys this variation, by the way. The orange positive LCD variation. Amazing value. It's a $20 to $25 tactical watch. Super lightweight. G-Shocky in appearance. Mudmasterish in appearance. Super cool. Link below. Please use it. I get like 2.1 cents for every click. And I'll use that to buy more watches and knives to bring to the table for you guys. The independent reviewing voice of Nutnfancy Project. This is an urban camouflage. Look at that, dudes. Excellent. Negative LCD display in this one. I forgot to mention the review too. They come with a built-in screen protector. Yeah, it's like cut out and you don't have to remove it. It's clear. Awesome. Yeah, it's going to hang out there in the background. And yes, it is another cold steel knife review. I've never apologized for doing so many cold steel reviews. They're one of my favorite makers. It's been that way ever since I've done TMP. I've never been a cold steel hater. I've talked about that a lot. I'm not going to talk about it here. Why do I love cold steel so much? Well, what I've always said, they provide great products at a reasonable price, good materials, and more importantly, they never sit on their laurels. Their past accomplishments and just reissue different colorations and variations of the same design, which is cool. But cold steel takes it to the next level. They're coming up with completely different designs. This is one of them, completely different. And we'll get to that knife here in just a second. Back in the day, one of those designs, and I raved about this knife and a lot of other cold steel knives that I've brought to the table, was the Cold Steel Espada G10 XL right here. Coated in Cerakote in the TMP workshop. Burnt bronze, TMP blue, I call it electric blue. G10 variation. A Persian fighting blade. Oh yeah, that's another reason I love cold steel. And this knife is along those same lines. They don't shy away from the fighting blade. A lot of major manufacturers do. They don't want to have a so-called fighting or martial blade in their inventory. Lynn Thompson and company have always leaned into it. They're like, yeah, dudes, we got a lot of sheepdogs, military members serving. They need a blade to fight with, to defend their lives. And they make blades for sheepdogs of society. Dangerous things, operate them carefully and with a sense of responsibility and virtue, says me. That's a major reason I love cold steel. They don't shy away from it. This knife is a perfect example. That's a wicked fighting blade. Cold Steel Espada G10 comes in various sizes. Check out this one. Here's I think this is the XXL. Damn, son. Look at this. I just gotta laugh because it's so freaking cool. I think I laughed when I first reviewed this series. I was like, oh my gosh, look at that. It's like a hand sword. What other major company, knife company, is making this? Kershaw? No. Benchmade? No. Spyderco? No. Buck? No. CRKT? No. Cold Steel. Yep, they don't give you just one size. They're going to give you multiple sizes of some of their best-selling fighting blades. Wicked. I never carry this. It's just too big. Oh my gosh. And I did my awesome epoxy underclip modification with JB Weld. It turned out very nice. I think I reviewed the Cold Steel Espada series back in, that's been a while, I think. This newer generation, maybe, I'm going to guess, 2011, something like that. Anyways, it's going to be hanging out on the table. It is not a competitive option, it's an in-family option, better said. As we discuss yet another super sick, super cool cold steel product, the Frenzy. And here's the thing, I got the Frenzy and I was looking in the box. I was like, oh, okay. I was thinking EDC knife. It's going to be small. It's probably a bunch of bubble wrap in there. Oh, no. Cold Steel Frenzy is a big knife, dude. Look at this. The box doesn't do it justice. I mean, honestly, I thought it'd be something like the Piranha. Not the Piranha, but the Virus. Like that, a little auto knife. I thought it'd be a little slender EDC knife. I didn't really study the specs online. If I had, I would have realized that the Frenzy is a big knife, 5.8 ounces. 5.5-inch blade. I could have readily detected that if I just read the specs, but I just waited until the knife arrived, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a big blade, man. And again, it's a Marshall blade. It is designed as a fighting knife of sorts and a collectible of sorts. Now, in their write-up, they say Andrew Demko, its designer, was inspired by the kabutoari, I'm not saying that right, the skull breaker or helmet breaker style of Japanese blade. The lines are different, but they're just talking inspiration. It's basically a Wharncliffe with a fuller in it, with a very piercing point and kind of a negative sweep to it. You can kind of see how it's a negative belly there to draw the material into the cut, at least when you're slashing like that. That's the Frenzy. POU is going to be pretty easy on this. Non-EDC, it is an emergency defensive tool, plain and simple. Again, Cold Steel does it. Unapologetically, we should applaud it. And more importantly, buy their products to support a company that's willing and bold enough to do this. In this day and age, where everyone's paranoid about this, paranoid about that, where political correctness reigns, you have a company like Cold Steel putting out a Frenzy knife. Think about that. That's bold. That's brave. They just do it year after year. Demko and company, they go, hey, you know what? Time we design a new fighting blade. I freaking love it. It is so funny. I mean, I even if I wasn't totally enamored with this, I'd still buy a knife just to support that effort, that non-PC effort. It's awesome, man. I can't tell you how many soldiers, operators I've ran into through TMP who are carrying Cold Steel in battle. Tons and tons. A lot of them carrying the Cold Steel Voyager series in various sizes. Here comes I think there's an XL. Another in-family option and a good size comparison against the Frenzy. Look at this. This is a big blade. It is. And this is one of my favorite, all-time favorite Cold Steel blades. The Voyager series. I mean, I just recommend it all the time. Guys like, hey, what should I get EDC? Cold Steel, Voyager, medium. How about tactical? Cold Steel, Voyager, large or XL. I recommend it all the time. It's cheap. It's affordable. Triad lock. It won't fail. Clip blade, different blade styles. Great handle. Awesome traction. Great tactical blade this is. Freak, man. What a knife. Oh, I have the ear engraved right here. 12 for that one. Excellent, man. I love the finish on that blade too. But good size comparison for the Frenzy 2. And, you know, what's the difference between the first Frenzy, second Frenzy? I don't know. I don't think it really matters. And there are some different colorations of the Frenzy out there, by the way. So this is the OD black variation of the Frenzy. That is probably going to be my favorite color. It's also available in black and blue. So that's a really cool color. And then I did see gray and black variations running around in Amazon. I don't know if they're limited, if that was a Frenzy 1 or 2, if it's gone. But if you like that, I'd probably jump on it and get it while you can. We were discussing POU, and I was saying it's a fighting blade. Now, what style of fighting blade? That could actually be a whole video, and I don't think I'm the best person to do that. You'd have to have a practitioner do that. And every practitioner I've ever spoken with or read about or read what he's written will have very definitive opinions on what he feels would be the best fighting knife. And you, like everything, you're going to have a lot of controversy and disagreement. Well, it should be a blade of this length, this style of shape. It'll go on and on. For me, though, I think the Frenzy would be an excellent blade. We talked about its reverse belly, the slight reverse belly in the Wharncliffe blade. I think it's mostly about the penetration of the blade with that super wicked tip on it. And by the way, it comes extremely sharp. Let's see if I have some paper to demonstrate that. On this, by the way, XHP steel. I didn't mention that yet. Look at this. Holy crap. Awesome. Honestly, I could do this for 20 minutes and call the review complete. It is awesome. Lately, I've brought to the table some knives that are not that sharp, and I criticize it. I have to as a reviewer. I mean, man, I'm able to make small paper curls with this thing. God, well done. And that's a great steel. The XHP. It's the same steel that we saw in the Code 4, which is right here, hanging out from a previous review. I raved about it there. Powder metallurgy technology, uniform grain structure. It really takes a nice finish too. The XHP, so you can kind of see a beautiful satin finish and on this blade. Carpenter steel. Notice how the dual thumb studs are removable easily by a simple screwdriver. And then you have this nice flat portion to re-edge it. Super excellent. I wouldn't say the Wharncliffe is my overall favorite blade. I've never said it is. I think it's very limited in purpose. And it's good we have this Voyager sitting on the table, and I'll illustrate my purpose, or my point here. Clip blade, belly, I can food prep with that, slice it, and do much more meaningful knife tasks with it, and yet I don't really give up anything in my way of thinking in terms of emergency defensive use. This is pretty much about that only. So you're carrying a relatively light for the size, 5.8 ounce Frenzy, and yet the only thing you're really going to do with it is maybe open a package, but it's an emergency defensive tool. I'm going to put it in my favorite soldier blades, my recommended soldier blades, because I think it would be a great LBE knife for operators in theater. My sheepdog's still wearing the uniform. Because it's super light, you're not going to know it's there, and that if you need it, you can deploy it, and it's going to be a lot easier to carry than some, maybe all fixed blade knives. The Frenzy. I would also say just a collectible for philosophy of use. It's just a cool knife, cool looking knife, something completely different. And that's POU. Let's look at speed lockup. It's a triad lock. I've talked about it so much. Locks up perfection, of course. Demco's triad lock. There's your stop pin, your cutout proportion. Again, fully ambidextrous. No volcano issues that I can detect. I'm talking about the thumb studs when I say that if you're new to the project. So is it slippery? Are they so tapered you can't get a purchase? No. No occlusions from the handle. Centering is ideal. Single adjustable pivot point in this one. Super cool. Now triad, the lock back spring bar, it's going to take more force to deploy it. The retention will be fabulous because of that. That's the upside. So this isn't a blade that's going to shake out on you easily, as you can tell. But off camera you can if you want to, if that's your selected deployment method. And then the handle, dudes, it is perfection. I mean, the handle is so excellent on the Frenzy. It's 3D machined G10. Again, I love the coloration, but it fits the hand well, and it has no hot spots, and more importantly, it's adequately long. How many knives have I brought to the table over the years and go, dudes, why did you make the handle so short? You know, you might, and I'm not just talking about folding knives, but fixed blades too. I see it all the time. Not here. It's perfect. Big lanyard hole there. Here's the clip. Standard cold steel clip. You're going to have a lot protruding from the pocket. I think the thinking behind it is that you have your lanyard protruding and you can get to the blade more readily. I would like a deep carry. Insert that into basically every folding knife discussion I do. No steel liners in the G10. Oh, that's so refreshing to see. That's why it's 5.8 ounces. If they would have put steel liners in it, you're looking at 8, 9. I'm just guessing, but that around there. I'm going to show you another cold steel product when we're talking about the handle. Do you guys remember the Holdout XL reviewed several years ago? There you go. I reviewed the medium, the large, and this XL. Dude, this one's featuring my homemade jimping, by the way. Which works. And I think I told you in that review that I was going to do it. I did it. No jimping on the Frenzy, and there's no thumb ramp. That is a downside, by the way. But the design is elegant. It's Japanese-like. I understand it. But what I said about this handle is the same thing. Tons of real estate to hang on to. This is also triad lock, this holdout. The other two I sold. This is the only holdout I've hung on to just for a cast member. Can't hang on to everything. Wish we could. I think the thumb studs on the holdout are worse than these. I mean, these thumb studs are perfect. They stick out far. Holdout, at least for righties it's good, but lefties it just doesn't have that ambidextrous functionality to it. Still love the knife though. Super cool. Value. Well, I think I mentioned it. Maybe I didn't. In Amazon, this Frenzy is selling around 120, subject to change. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. My favorite color is the OD black one you see on the table. Blue would be a close second, and then probably that black gray G10 Frenzy would be a third. That's just me. Now, between the other Cold Steel products on the table, which one would I prefer? I will stick with what I've said in the reviews, that I do like the multi-purpose clip blades better. They are multi-purpose. I'll use them a lot more for that. And plus, I have a capability of doing some hard EDC stuff with it, maybe batoning. I wouldn't baton with this one. Yes, it is a triad lock, like I said, but the blade really isn't suited to it that well. It's a fighting blade, a Japanese Oriental style of fighting blade. In that philosophy of use, I have no doubt it would excel if your technique is proper. Yeah, I would probably go, this is a hard decision, probably with a Voyager still, but this would be on my list as just cool factor, like second cool, the Frenzy. And then the Espada series is still amazing, so is the Holdout. They're all excellent, really. And again, this is another reason I love Cold Steel. I mean, who else is making these blades? I've said that so many times, and it's so true. Still, after all these years of doing the knife show, highly recommended. Again, great job, Demco, Cold Steel. That is my review on the Cold Steel Frenzy. A wicked, really good looking Warncliffe blade that's actually pretty large. Over and out.